time, Nairobi recorded 37 degrees Celsius. That was on a high. Yesterday, we averaged 30. And people joking that indeed this is the Mombasa of Nairobi now. Everybody is feeling the heat. But anyway, we have a lot in store for you. And I was looking into that story that you're mentioning there, Nelima.
Right.
Of the Pakistan journalist. By the way, if you look at the details, he was wanted in his country, Pakistan, for sedition. It was actually a man on the run, and that's exactly what then became clear, even as he met his death. Also, at this time, when the president has also now sort of disbanded that unit at the Department for Criminal Investigations that has been blamed for this particular behavior that we're seeing in the police force in the country, with stories of how a container that has been stained with blood has gone in now for further forensic investigations to see if indeed that some of the bodies that or majority of the Kenyans that have disappeared could be traced back to that particular container. So a lot of eyebrows really on these particular stories. But guess what? We're going to see exactly what Kenyans are talking about them online, with also stories again of how right now, by the way, Nelima, NHIF, you're bound to pay more. I'll be telling you details on that. The president is quite big on savings, and now is reining in on NHIF. He's saying that if you're earning around 100,000 plus more on your salary, then you need to pay more. In fact, you're going to be paying 3,500. If you're earning 500,000 more, you're going to pay your plus, that is, on your salary, you're going to be forced to pay 8,500 shillings. And now, these new regulations they're pushing through NHIF are going to make it mandatory for any adult Kenyan within the country then contribute to NHIF. And if you really then start to put that into perspective, NHIF is going to be the biggest state-backed insurer. As of June, they did collect almost 80.43 billion from Kenyans. That's huge. And
right,
when you look at it, so it's going to go back to the National House for debate. So we see exactly where it passes, because the 12th Parliament completely said no to it. So it is for us to look at it and see whether this is going to go through. Right. Yes.
And of course, just as you have mentioned, then there is a conversation around it, because most people then complain. Once you fall ill, you go to hospital, and the NHIF, the most it does is just pay for the bed. So which is just about 15,000 for, say, 3 days admitted in hospital. Yeah. So Kenyans are keen to see how exactly this NHIF is going to be beneficial, since so far it has catered for a very small amount of the total fee that is in hospital.
Pretty much. Now, that's exactly that. Some of the stories that are headlining some of your sectors and industries this morning, but even some of them are actually going to be touched on the dailies this morning. We take a tiny breather right here on the morning brief. Once we come back, then Nelima and I will be going straight into what you are waking up to this morning, in as much as your dailies are concerned. Once we come back. Right, welcome back. Nelima, I do know that you have the standard. What are they headlining this morning?
Right, Simba. Tough questions after journalists killing. This is, of course, we have been talking about this. The Pakistani journalist who was shot in Magadi, Kajiado County, and he is Arshad Mohammed. And he was 49 years of age. And of course, a lot of questions just being raised about how he died. Was it premeditated, or was it a mistaken identity, as the Kenyan police have said since? And of course, there are very pertinent questions that have been raised about was he parked outside the electrical shop with his son? You see, there are many questions, because as the police said, the GSU officers had said that they confused it with another vehicle that had been on the run that was stolen. And so people are just wondering whether they could have confused, since the number plates are very far off. And of course, so the incident, the time of reporting is also in question, as well as the scene of the murder, of the killings, I beg your pardon. Documented the body taken to Chiromo, where it is right now, at the mortuary, awaiting post-mortem. Remember, Simba, the post-mortem was done yesterday, but we're expecting now for the details given by Johansen Odwor, who is the government pathologist, going to give us details on what exactly killed the Pakistani journalist. And of course, questions have also come up about the safety, not only of journalists in the country, but as well for the foreigners who are in the country. As you know, he was an investigative journalist in Pakistan, which had landed him into a lot of trouble. And so he had been into several countries until when he came to Kenya, at the time of his death. That's what's on the cover of the Standard. As well, Simba, just to flip, on page 3 of the Standard, Sunak to become UK next Prime Minister.
Oh yeah, by the way. Interesting,
yes.
Isn't it?
And he is a young man with a young family, 2 very lovely daughters. Very promising future for him right there. And he is, Simba, the first person of color
to actually be the UK Prime Minister, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
And then I saw majority of Kenyans online. Now listen, it's funny. They were saying, oh no, we gave the US Obama, and now we've given the UK. So like, and then they say, now China loading. Interesting though, but when you look, by the way, when you read the details of that particular story, it's gonna be interesting, because then Boris Johnson, by the way, pulled out of the race, then making him the favorite then in that particular race. But do not forget, Nelima, that indeed is coming into that hot seat after Liz Truss, by the way, if you do remember, only survived 45 days on that particular, less than 2 months, Nelima. So,
one of the shortest in history.
One of the shortest in history. But then the thing about it is that she's entitled to a 115,000 US dollars check yearly by virtue of the fact that she served as Prime Minister. Talk to me about bittersweet.
Right, at least it counts for something.
Yeah. Wait, should it really?
It counts for something, you know. It's a big role, and it's interesting, Simba, how things play out in the UK. Very different from what happens right here in our motherland.
I'm telling you, right here it is. I'd rather not resign till I die.
Yeah, well, it's a different country, and democracy dictates.
By the way,
otherwise.
Do you remember the reason as to why Boris Johnson quit? It was simple, by the way. I could relate it to what happened to former Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja.
Right.
So Boris Johnson attended a party at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, when indeed it was telling every other person in the country to isolate, do not meet in groups. So at that particular time, he attended a private party. Details later emerged, by the way, in 2022, that he had attended that party and he was put under pressure. He quit just because of that. Liz Truss, the only reason she quit was that she felt there was mistrust within the party that did not allow her to perform her functions fully. On that basis, she quit. Now, it is Sunak's time. Let's see exactly what he's going to do as well in what has been seen as one of the hottest jobs in terms of survival in the world right now.
It clearly is, Simba. It clearly is, Simba. And as well, it just shows the level of maturity of a democracy.
That's it.
So that a leader feels compelled, like, if I cannot deliver, then if I'm at odds,
that's it.
If it goes against my values, then maybe I don't stand for it. Maybe a few things for us to learn as well. I'm telling you. So, of course, the detailed story comes to you on page 3 of the Daily of the Standard, and as well for the journalist Arshad, who was killed in Magadi, comes to you on page 4. One very interesting story on page 6 of the Standard, Simba, is the missing Indians. The lawyers, the query now, the probe as police seek suspects' DNA. Remember, this is following the 2 Indian nationals who were abducted and killed two Indian nationals and a Kenyan driver who were abducted during the period of elections. And now two police officers have been arraigned in court for the same. And of course, the investigations continue to take place as the DNA will continue to be tested sometime today. And of course, the prosecution has said that they want them to be held for a couple of more days as investigations continue for the same. Simba, maybe what's happening on your end?
It's pretty much the same, by the way. It's interesting how it's just a copy and paste really this morning in terms of what the media is focusing on. It is the Daily Nation talking about how he died. That is Imran Khan. Sorry, the Pakistan journalist, isn't it?
Right.
Now, this is what he's saying. This is what, just in a snapshot, Nelima, this is what he's saying. It was shot in the head. That's the detail. That is Ashad Sharif's car was flagged down, but the driver sped away, forcing the officers to shoot at the car. All right? Sharif's brother, Kuram, drove for 25 kilometers without the front tire. And by the way, if you look at the pictures of that car, you will see that the front tire, that's the right side, is completely depleted. It's on just on a pure rim. And now on that particular one, then the police then come in, Nelima, and say it is a mistaken identity. If you listen to the statements from the GSU, they're saying, well, it's just a police operation gone completely wrong, and they're just putting this down to mistaken identity, with a lot of people then questioning if it was a mistaken identity for somebody driving 25 kilometers. You would have realized that indeed this is not the person that we are pursuing. And the 3 bullets in that particular car also now, as we're going to hear today, once we do have the results of that coming out, they might be conflicting. Now, Nelima, it's interesting that we're talking about this. Let me just take you to page 5 of the Daily Nation on how particular media houses then have put Kenya on the spot. Now, listen to the BBC. They're saying Ashad Sharif killing prominent Pakistani journalist shot dead in Kenya after well-known Pakistani journalist Ashad Sharif was shot on Sunday. Listen to that. Now, Al Jazeera, they're saying a spoken Pakistani journalist Ashad Sharif killed in Kenya. Reuters is saying Pakistani journalist killed in police shooting in Kenya. Now, The Guardian is saying Pakistani journalist killed by police in Kenya. It was a case of mistaken identity, but funny enough, they put that in quotes. Now, the Daily Mail is also saying a Pakistani news anchor is shot dead in Kenya months after fleeing his home country in Pakistan. So really talking about how this particular incident has then put now Kenya on the spot. And IPOA, by the way, Nelima, they did speak yesterday as well. If you want to read that story, go to page 5, and they've said that they have started a crackdown on police in the country, and they're saying they're going to do their proper investigations and find these units that then have been misusing their power in
Remember,
the country.
Simba,
yes.
as well, there is the probe on the DCI officers who are suspected to have abducted the Indian nationals.
The Indians, yes.
So there is a lot of spotlight on the police and their use of their powers, use or abuse of their powers. And of course, IPOA set to start those investigations, probing the issue.
That's it. That's what we're looking at. It's interesting you should talk about that, Nelima, on page 7 of the Daily Nation as well. Now, this is what I say. Indians and their driver were taken to forest and killed. Investigators now say. Read that story on page 7 of the Daily Nation. I mean, if you look around the Nelima, you're going to say that majority of this story is then pretty much on police conduct within the country. And by the way, we start to see these details, Nelima, once President William Ruto did disband that specific unit within the Department of Criminal Investigations in the country. That's when these details have started coming out, and police conduct now, as come to the limelight. Now, we did have a statement, by the way, from the Pakistani ambassador to Kenya, that's the High Commissioner, who addressed journalists yesterday. By the way, she was quite specific on this particular, and she said, let investigations continue. Once we are done, then we'll come out and give a proper statement. Sort of a diplomatic row that is now in an offing in this particular case then of this journalist's death in the country.
Right, Simba. And there's also a story on drought here on the Standard. Remember, so far, 3 people have been confirmed dead due to, hunger. Yes. And of course, so there is a spotlight on students and pupils who are in school, and it's not an option. Going to school is not an option for children who are starving. That's the title of the story. And it says that the number of school dropouts is increasing in Ganze and Magarini due to hunger. And drought in the region is so severe that some residents have been feeding wild fruits and roots. And of course, we have seen the government and the deputy president's wife just being on the front line to distribute food into the very drought-torn areas in the country. Remember, this is drought that is facing at least 23 counties and around 8 counties that are in the alarm stage. And so this is a story that we'll continue to follow up even today right here on Lookuptv, just to see how different areas are going to be getting the help, and as well just to look at those numbers as well.
Those are some of the stories then that that you're going to meet on the dailies. In fact, some of them are going to cross over to what we have for you this morning in terms of our newsroom coverage. But for now, we take a tiny breather again. Once we come back, we'll be crossing over to what it is that you are talking on social media this morning. And we do know what to expect. It's just for us to see exactly what your sentiments are. And you can talk to us right now at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. I am at Kiage Simba, Nelima.
And I am at Nelima Nancy.
Once we come back. All right, welcome back to the Morning Drift. You are watching Lookuptv. In case you're just joining us, my name is Simba Kiage. I'm not alone, Nelima.
And I am Nancy Nelima. And it's time now for us to take a look at what you are saying across the social media platforms and on Twitter, as well as Facebook. And Simba, as I still try to refresh here, what is happening on your end?
So this is exactly what's going on. I want to pick up from what is going on around this particular story for the Pakistani journalist. There's a Sharif. By the way, a lot of Kenyans have been talking about it. Let's see what majority of them are talking about as regards to this particular one. And I can see Brian Obuya. He's saying the fatal shot that killed Ashad Sharif was fired with precision through the rear mirror of the car, penetrated through the back of his head and exited through the front side. Again, these are Kenyans reacting from the claims by the police that this was a case of mistaken identity. Again, he continued to say that he was a wanted man, wanted by some top officials in Pakistan. After running into exile in Dubai, Ashad would later travel to Kenya. Sources saying he had been traced there only to be, and they're saying, quote, mistakenly killed in Kenya. Now, this is some of the reactions of a majority of Kenyans as this is concerned then. And did you see his last tweet, by the way, Nelima, that sort of raised eyebrows about his untimely death right here in Kenya, but was looking at the latest tweet by Ashad was on the Kenyan police. Right. Yes. There was someone who raised a tweet that he did about the Kenya police and how majority of the killings in the country was not coincidental, reacting to the Indian's death. By the way, before then, he met his untimely death in the country, with majority of people saying, well, if you look at that, then it would not make sense for you to say, well, that it was a mistaken identity. And also, I did see journalists, my head is not in the right place. What is his name? Not good on air.
Namu?
Yes, thank you very much. He was interviewed, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he spoke about this particular journalist, but then later on, that's when this journalist met his death. Also, majority of Kenyans were asking, what did you know? He came on to defend himself saying, guys, listen, I only did the interview in that particular documentary. I didn't know that this is exactly what was going to happen. So any detail about how he met his untimely death, I'm not privy to any of that. Because he did participate in an interview that he spoke with Ashad about the conduct of police and democracy in general. Nelima.
Right, Simba, and remember, Arshad was also part of the same documentary that is yet to come out. Yeah. And it, of course, it looks at developing countries and corruption in the different sectors in these developing countries. And so he was part of that as well. And, you know, he was a journalist who was keen on just questioning governments. And so that is why some people say he was unlucky. And just to read one tweet from Adil Raja, who is a Pakistani national, he says, Arshad Sharif was fighting against the biggest criminal cartel of Pakistan. Kenya was an easy place to assassinate him with an equally corrupt governance structure like that in Pakistan. Those are his sentiments. And so this was a guy known to be very keen on fighting corruption and just pointing out the ills in the government. And so his untimely death, some say, is no shocker. But remember, Simba, investigations are underway. Just to read one more tweet, Ashok Swain, who is also a Pakistani national, says, who killed Arshad Sharif? One of Pakistan's famous journalists, critical of the country's establishment, has been killed in mysterious circumstances in Kenya. And Simba, just looking at the life of Arshad, he was a celebrated journalist, even in his own country. He was an award-winning journalist. He had about 3 different awards to his name, even awarded by the country's president. He was feted for a lot of reasons, being the best anchor, top investigative journalist. So very many awards for him, for Arshad. He was a celebrated man, but as well, as much as he was celebrated, he was also very critical about how the government was being run.
Yeah, and his only mistake, according to the Pakistani then, is criticizing the military, by the way, and the way that they conducted their affairs in Pakistan. And then after that, it completely fell out with the government. Now, here's the thing, we've got to talk about this. Nelima, Prime Minister, is as well trending. But just before we get there, Nelima, gotta pick your sentiments. What is happening in Meru with the Meru governor? A lot of questions, MCAs turning against her. Yesterday, she was addressing them as well. She's already appointed the husband as the youth ambassador, one. Appointed the sister as a PA, and another one bodyguard. And a lot of people do not like that. But what your quick sentiments? We got to talk about this because I saw that trending as well.
Right, Simba, you know, this is very interesting. And this is where Kenyans are going to learn more about the law, more about the constitution, and what is the role of the members of county assembly, as well as the role of governor, and what power do the MCAs have? Remember, in the past, we've had different governors that have been impeached. We've had former Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko, former Kiambu governor, who is Waititu, who have been impeached. And so the members of county assembly do have that power. And I believe that that is something that is happening in Meru currently. And perhaps a show of might, as many people are arguing across different platforms. It could be a show of might. Could Kawira Mwangaza have started on a wrong note? That is a question that we'll be looking forward to getting the answers from our viewers, just what they think in regards to the same. But of course, Simba, it is also interesting just to note what the Constitution says about the roles and responsibilities of the different elective seats.
That's it. Listen to how she was addressing them. She was like, well, if you guys were used to getting given money by my by the two former governors, I will not do it. Take me whatever you can. And then we talk about how law is applied. And after that, we will get a starting point. In fact, she revealed that she did invite some of them to her house, where they sat down, had breakfast, had meals, and then later when they got back to government business, they turned around. Anyway, finally, as we clear, Nelima, we do have Prime Minister trending. That is the UK Prime Minister now, that is Sunak, already becoming the youngest. And by the way, something that you failed to mention though, the richest. At 42, yeah? Let me see what Piers Morgan is saying. Rishi Sunak is the new UK Prime Minister, will be the first British Asian PM and first Hindu PM at 42. The youngest PM in modern times. I've backed him for a long time, think he's the right guy for the job and wish him every success. Yeah? Youngest and richest. Ha! Does richest do it when it comes to governance, Nelima?
Maybe not directly, but definitely.
Yes.
I believe it says something, so that, because according to what most people are saying, then if someone already has something, then they don't have to go in and be corrupt and easily be, close an eye to an evil happening in the government.
Yes. Anyway, his father was born in Kenya and the mom was born in Tanzania. No wonder a majority of Kenyans are claiming.
Yeah, so Africa, we feel like we have a stake in it. And Simba, there's a very beautiful photo of the family right there.
Yes,
with his two lovely daughters and his wife.
Don't know what to think about it though, Nelima.
Because we'll be following this closely, Simba.
What are we selling? Are we selling one kid? Are we selling two kids to a family? Anyway, that's it. That's it. I'm saying it is what it is anyway. Let me just stop there. Anyway, we take a tiny breather right here again on the Morning Drift. Once we come back, I'll be taking you straight to the newsroom so we can see some of the headlines again that you are pushing on your day with. Join us live at Lookuptv across our social media platforms. I am at Kiage, Simba, Nelima.
We do have to take that very short break, but coming up, all the day's news.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design. With branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa, our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
The International Handball Federation brings you great sporting action that's full of pomp, color, energy, tackle, and thrill. The IHF Trophy Africa Zone 5 for Youth and Junior Men Games. 8 countries, 16 teams, 36 games. All these sporting action to be held at the Ulinzi Sports Complex and at the Nyayo National Stadium handball courts in Nairobi, Kenya. Games start at 12 noon till late, as from Tuesday the 25th to Saturday the 29th. Entry is free. Only carry your identification document. This action is proudly brought to you by the International Handball Federation in conjunction with the Kenya Handball Federation in partnership with Lookuptv and Mudhingi TV.
Hapa kazi tu inaendelea kuwasaka na kuwatambua wale ambao wanafanya kazi extraordinary na zile kazi za kujituma.
Biashara yote unaambiangwa, as long as you have a plan, you can do it. Our service is about kufurahisha the customer.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni hapa kazi tu.
Good to have you join us on Heart to Heart.
We bring you stories of people who, despite the pressures they experienced, still trusted God to see them through.
The seeds that was sown in me helped me navigate and overcome that period of my life.
New testimonies, new insights, and even better revelation of the good things God has in store for us.
There is always a blessing waiting for someone in every episode.
All right, welcome back. This is the Morning Drift. Let's cross straight into the newsroom this morning so we can see some of the stories that you're pushing your day with. Now, the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, has said that it has deployed a rapid response team to Kajiado County, where renowned Pakistani journalist Ashad Sharif was shot dead by police officers manning a roadblock along Nairobi Magadi Road in Kajiado on Sunday night under unclear circumstances. Now, the police have claimed that the shooting was a case of mistaken identity of a similar car reported of child kidnapping. Edwin John Mukora opens with our report.
A few questions that may require further.
In a press conference held in Nairobi addressing its actions against extrajudicial killings alleged to have been committed by police officers, IPOA chairperson Anne Makori has said that a rapid response team has been deployed to Koini area of Kajiado County to investigate the mysterious killing of Pakistani journalist Ashad Sharif.
There is a alleged police killing of a Pakistani national at Tinga Market, Kajiado County last evening. Our rapid response team has already been dispatched to look at that matter. The name of that Pakistani national is Arshad Mohammed Sharif, aged 50, who incident happened on 23/10/2022 at 22 hours.
According to the sleuths privy to the investigation surrounding the killing, the GSU police officers sprayed the car he was traveling in with his brother Kuram Ahmed with bullets after they were flagged at a roadblock but defied to stop. The police claim it was a mistaken identity after they were on a high alert. They were on a high alert search after a case of a reported child kidnapping.
Unfortunately, the occurrence down there, these guys were coming from a range where they had gone to meet their colleagues from Pakistan. They have a range somewhere there. But when they were stopped by the GSU officers, they did not adhere or they did not accept the signal from the police officer to stop and made them to drive through. And when they dropped through, prompted the GSU officers to act. because it was so clear that these guys saw the officers and they were in uniform, but they decided to bypass. That prompted the GSU officers to react, and that's how one of the occupants of that particular vehicle was fatally injured.
50-year-old Ashad Sharif was a vocal critic of the present Pakistani government and fled the country earlier this year after sedition charges were filed against him. Sharif had worked in several media houses in the country and had won several awards. At the time of his death, he was working on an investigative documentary titled Behind Closed Doors. His death has left shockwave across Pakistani and the world at large. His wife, Javeria Sadiq, took to Twitter to mourn her husband, saying she had lost a friend, a husband, and a favorite journalist. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has made a phone call to President William Ruto, urging him to fast-track the investigation on Ashad's death and the process of repatriating the remains of the slain journalist back to Pakistani. Edwin John Mokora, Lookuptv.
Moving on, the Independent Police Oversight Authority, through its chairperson, Anna Makori, has indicated that investigations into the enforced disappearances and brutal killings of hundreds of Kenyans are ongoing, with at least 112 bodies from River Yala and Etana undergoing DNA profiling for purposes of identification.
For months now, several bodies have been discovered and retrieved in various rivers across the country, top among them River Yala in Siaya County. According to Independent Police Oversight Authority chairperson Ann Makori, investigations on the 25 bodies found in River Yala indicate that the victims were tortured before being killed.
In January 2022, the authority launched investigations into the incidents in which 25 dead bodies were recovered from River Yala in Siaya County.
A few questions that may require further.
In a press conference held in Nairobi addressing its actions against extrajudicial killings alleged to have been committed by police officers, IPOA chairperson Ann Makori has said that a rapid response team has been deployed to Koini area of Kajiado County to investigate the mysterious killing of Pakistani journalist Ashad Sharif.
There is a alleged police killing of a Pakistani national at Tinga Market, Kajiado County last evening. Our rapid response team has already been dispatched to look at that matter. The name of that Pakistan.
With branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa, our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
Hi there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching us from. My name is Maki Wambogo, Sales Manager of Tiven Real Estate, and I'm here at our head office, Absa Towers, located at Reuters Street. Today I'm here to talk about our newest project, that is Great Oasis Gardens, Nanyuki, and it is located only 10 minutes drive from Cedar Mall. And in this project, we have proposed that we will be having a GMC Entertainment Center. This will be a replica of what we have in Kitengela, GMC Kitengela. We are also proposing a police post, so you are assured that security, once you invest here, security is good. And we are also proposing to have a playing ground. We are also going to have a community ground. So once you invest here, you don't have to worry about the security. The other things, among the things that we are doing, or the things that we have done already in Great Oasis Gardens, we have already done the marking fence, and the roads, the internal roads are already happening. We have started the malaming the road, and we are still in the process of doing the malaming of the internal roads. And we are also sinking a borehole so that we ensure that our investors in Great Oasis Gardens, Nanyuki, will not struggle with water. We are also going to elevate a water tower so that we have a constant supply of water in this project. And we also have a caretaker on site. The caretaker is on site and he's there 24/7. And then we also have different sizes in in this project. We are having aids, we are having quarters, we are having halves, and we are also having acres. One can buy in bulk, you can buy in big chunks, and that is why we are saying in Great Oasis Gardens Nanyuki, we are saying that bigger is better. In this project, what you can invest in private schools, you can also do holiday homes, whereby you can do Airbnb, you can also do holiday homes and then you start renting, and you can also build houses and sell. You can also do apartments in this area. You can also do supermarkets. You can also build a mall and then you start renting. There is so much that you can do in this project because it is not controlled development. We are also located along Nanyuki Rumuruti Road, and this road is being proposed to be tarmacked by the government. So coming from Nanyuki or coming from wherever you will be coming from, it will be very easy to access the project because it is touching the Nanyuki Rumuruti Road, which is going to be tarmacked by the government. My number is +254 722 355 107. Do not be left behind. Call that number. I will work with you. If you are in Kenya, give me a call. We go for the site visit. We select the project. We start the payment. If you're in diaspora, send a representative, and I will be delighted to work with you. And as we say here in Optiven, we shine because you make us shine. God bless you. Thank you.
Welcome back. Kiambu politician Gladys Chania and co-accused suspect Maurice Mbugua have both been released on a cash bail of 1 million Kenyan shillings. The two are prime suspects in the brutal murder of Chania's husband, George Mwangi, who lost his life on October 10th this month. That was last month, isn't it? Is it this month? Under unclear circumstances.
Given by the court.
Gladys Chania and co-accused farmhand Maurice Mbugua have each been released on a 1 million shilling cash bail.
The best way for the court to balance here in the scale is to give the accused person the option of bond, which I hereby do, of Kenyan shillings 1 million with 2 sureties. That is the orders of the court.
The two are prime suspects in the murder case of Chania's husband, George Mwangi, whose lifeless body was found in Kieni Forest, 20 kilometers from their Kiambu family home.
We are seeking extension of time for additional 7 days to enable the investigating officer and the investigating team to conclude investigations in the matter.
According to an autopsy conducted by government pathologist Johansen Odwor, Mwangi died from head injuries after being hit several times at the back of his head by a blunt object. The report also showed that his left fingers had injuries believed to have been acquired during the gruesome murder, an indication that he tried fighting for his life.
Your Honor, postmortem of the deceased was conducted on 21st of October 2022 at Kenyatta University Funeral Home. And Your Honor, for purposes of these proceedings, the cause of death was found to be severe head injury due to blunt force trauma.
Detectives have so far acquired CCTV footage that is believed to have captured the moment George Mwangi's body was dumped in the forest. The camera captures a vehicle belonging to Mr. Mwangi branching off Thika Magumu flyover road, a move they say was strategic given that there is a police roadblock mounted a few kilometers away.
In conclusion, Your Honor, this matter has elicited huge public interest.
John Omari, Lookuptv.
Now, the court is to give a ruling on the 4 arrested Special Service Unit on Wednesday, 26th October. Diana Muchache, Chief Magistrate of the Kahawa Law Courts, has ordered the suspects in the disappearance of Mohammed Kidwa, Zulfikar Ahmed and Nicodemus Mwania to remain in police custody ahead of the ruling. As the prosecution prays that the suspects remain in custody for 30 days, the defense asks the case to be moved to IPOA.
The Kahawa Court has ordered that the 4 officers of the Defense Special Service Unit will remain in police custody pending the Wednesday 26 October ruling. The 4 officers are being held as principal suspects in the disappearance of Mohammed Kidwai, Zulfikar Khan, and their driver Nicodemus Mwania. Some of the remains of the 3 who are alleged to have been seen last on July 23rd this year were retrieved in the Aberdare forests.
Thank you so much, all of you, for being calm. At least it is good for all of us when the advocates and the prosecution counsel, you interact calmly. But you can see you have done quite a lot of submissions. You have given your authorities. I am not going to give you a ruling on the spot. This ruling will have to come on Wednesday. Unfortunately, to enable we come up with a well-reasoned ruling, Mr. Onge, stand up, can you, and address the court.
Yes, I was going to say this.
While the Internal Affairs Unit of the DCI was prosecuting the alleged dreaded sleuths, the accused-led counsel strongly opposed the move by the IAU. Lawyer Danstan Omari claims that this case deserves to be presented before the IPO authorities, in addition to calling out the threatening of the suspects. Lawyer Omari condemns the prosecution for asking the court to have the suspect held further for 30 days.
The mandate to deal with this matter is provided for by Kenyans in an entity called IPOA. It is IPOA that needs to investigate this matter. It is IPOA that needs to prosecute these people. But anybody trying to bring an illegal entity, it is a legal entity, the internal unit is an illegal entity, but it is illegal in terms of coming to court. And even contemplating detaining police officers for 30 days just because the head of state raised this question.
The prosecuting side has asked the suspect to remain in custody while further investigation continues. The 4 suspects are among the 21 officials interviewed by the Internal. The Kahawa Court has ordered that the 4 officers of the Defense Special Service Unit will remain in police custody pending the Wednesday 26 October ruling. The 4 officers are being held as principal suspects in the disappearance of Mohammed Kidwai, Zulfikar Khan, and their driver Nicodemus.
Now, Governor Kawira Mwangaza has accused Meru members of the County Assembly, MCAs, of intimidation in revenue sharing between the Executive and the County Assembly. Speaking during a press briefing, embattled Governor said the MCAs have been blackmailing her to give them ward funds without following the law. This comes a few hours after the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission accused her of various allegations, including practices of nepotism and her leadership. Shadrack Kareria with that story.
Kwa hivyo hata mkifanya allegations za kwenda juu kupanda chini, nataka kuwatangazia ya kwamba serikali ya mama iko imara.
Televangelist cum politician Kawira Mwangaza is now under siege. This is after Ethics and Anti-Corruption Agency EACC poked holes on her demeanor barely 2 months at the governorship. On the EACC radar is her involvement in the suspicious recruitment of her husband and her 2 other sisters, whom the sleuth investigating the case alleged that Kawira Mwangaza recruited as one of her personal assistants and the other as her bodyguard.
Na tumempatia kitengo ya kwamba yeye ni patron Meru Youth Service. Hiyo ni kazi moja. Na ingine kitengo ambaye nimempatia kitengo cha maana sana, Ambassador Meru Hustlers Ambassador.
According to the EACC, contravenes Chapter 6 of the 2010 Constitution, touching on nepotism and conflict of interest. In a letter dated October 19th, the EACC cited the governor for hiring 2 sisters as her heads, employing her spouse Murega Baisu as a youth service patron, directing Meru County staff to serve the interest of Baite TV, which is owned by a family, directing county workers to use their social media pages to promote her political activities. While addressing the standoff between her and members of Meru County Assembly that has attracted country's attention, newly elected Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza took swipe at Meru MCAs, accusing them of intimidation.
I will not be intimidated to be a thief. I will not. Sitakubali hiyo. Nataka kila mtu afuate sheria na kila mtu atosheke na mshahara wake.
The embattled governor stated that MCAs have been piling pressure on her for them to meet their selfish interest in the name of defending ward funds.
Ongea mambo ya ward fund mumeniruka. Sasa kwa sababu sitaki muniruke tena, naomba mukifika tena kujeni na something that I can also present before people. Nipeleke kwa ofisi, nipeleke kwa cabinet, nipeleke kwa maofisa wengine.
Mwangaza stated that he will not be part of their plans, stating that the MCAs have made it a must for them to be given ward funds, just as they have been given by her predecessors, a move that Mwangaza has chosen to deviate.
Niwaambie MCA wamesema lazima ward simply because Governor Munya was giving them, Governor Kiraito alikuwa anawapatia na ni lazima niwapatie, ndio nitawapatia. Lakini this time round mambo yamebadilika. Hakuna pesa nitapeana kienyeji.
The confrontation between Mwangaza and the MCAs is far from end, as none of the two parties want to pull out. According to the MCAs, Mwangaza has been ignoring them, stating that they are closer to Meru residents than the governor, arguing that they can hardly deliver to the residents without ward funds. Shadrack Kareria, Lookuptv.
A section of leaders from Turkana County are now requesting the government to provide relief food for learners in the affected schools, saying that many school-going children have ceased attending school as a result of hunger due to the ongoing drought. Press Kanjari brings us this report.
According to statistics, hunger affects learning by curbing a child's physical development, inhibiting their ability to focus and perform, and limiting their future achievements. It is this situation the learners from Turkana County are now facing. So affected by hunger are they that some of them lack the energy to go to school. Touched by the situation, the General Secretary Kenya National Union of Teachers Turkana branch, Peter Ewat, while speaking in Lodwar, appealed to the government to provide relief food for primary and secondary school to support the learners.
Mambo ya vyakula vya watoto katika shule zetu za msingi. Mwaka huu wanafunzi watafanya mtihani grade 6, wale wengine wa standard 8, form 4. There is nothing at all. Na hivyo hao watoto ni wadogo na wanahitaji lishe ya kila wakati. Angalia mambo ya njaa ya shule za arid lands, arid areas. Provide food to arid areas. Turkana being one of them. Ndio tujue hata hiyo uongozi yako iko sawa sawa.
Turkana West MP Daniel Lepuyo, echoing the same sentiment, says that at present, the situation in Turkana is devastating and wants the government to declare famine a national disaster.
Kusema ukweli, hatuwezi kuendelea na mipangilio za kawaida ya serikali. Mheshimiwa Rais atende tu jambo hili ambalo Mheshimiwa ameuliza. Maana sisi tukiendelea kuongojea, tukiambiwa chakula iko kwa high seas, itakuja, tutaanza kuzika watu mapema. Tuseme tu ukweli kwamba tunaweza kufanya kama serikali kiasi hii, mahali ambayo inaelekea dunia iweze kutusaidia.
Pris Kanjari, Lookuptv.
Well, with that particular story, by the way, and we are following on that one as well as a newsroom right here at Lookuptv, just bringing you stories of the exact state of the drought situation in the country. We come to the end of our newsroom focus this morning, really, in as much as the morning drift is concerned. Gotta confirm this one, Rex. Are we ushering Nelima back in, or we're gonna take a break and then see exactly what comes next? Are we? Oh yeah? All right. So Nelima is right. Yeah, I think we can end the show. We can end the show with that. Anyway, here's the thing, Nelima. That might be the end of it for today. Apparently, from our director.
Coverage of a sports event.
Yes.
That will be carrying the day up to later in the day. And of course, do keep it right here on Lookuptv. And of course, across all our social media platforms at Lookuptv on Twitter, Lookuptv on Facebook, and Lookuptv on our official YouTube channel. The hashtag is Morning Drift. Have yourselves a pleasant day.
The International Handball Federation brings you great sporting